Hey, so now we're going to go for a little full demo of from nothing to the full final product. It's going to be about 50 frames, so it's a pretty short amount because to create 50 frames of animation normally it takes about, I would say, 4 days, 3, 4 days, something like this. I think in most studios like DreamWorks or Illumination or even at Fortiche, we are averaging about 18 frames a day, 20 frames a day. So 50 frames about 3 days, I would say, something like this. So, but we're gonna do it in an hour and a half. So hopefully, obviously, it won't look quite as polished and as much as this, but I think you can still get a good grasp of how can you do a shot like this, what are the types of things to do to making it possible, and also to be able to control your animation. I know I keep talking about this term of controlling, but I think to me is key to success is being able to really make sure that each curve that you have in your rig is something that you are controlling through your blocking until the end. All right, let's take a look at this. So here we have our first pose. Let's take a look at the movement of the reference. So I have a reference camera here. I have my perspective here. In my perspective, you can see I have the thing in the back. Actually, I feel the thing in the back is really big, so I could change the depths of it. You know, the depth is related to the camera. So why I'm doing this is like this. You know, he is closer when I kind of look at him. You know, in there. So by looking at the character and having this closer, it can help me in looking at the posing in here and trying to reflect it there. Here as well, I like to have a similar angle perspective. You can see how they feel like they have the perspective that is aligning in the camera and in there. The posing as well of the character, the shoulder being up, the angle of the arm here and here. You can see how all these have really kind of the similar angles into there. For the spine, as we mentioned, in the rig overview, let's see. So in terms of the chest up, you see I have 0 rotate X, 0 rotate Z in there. All this here is created from the shoulder. Okay, so this kind of angles is the shoulders that creates it. In this one, I have nothing. In the smaller one, actually, that I am not showing, I have nothing. I don't even have a key in the whole thing. And here I have some rotate Y. As I was saying, the rotate Y counters this. So this here is opening up the same as the feet. Remember when we were looking at that, we said like, oh yeah, this kind of opens up like there, and then the top here goes against. And then the most of the thing is going with just the body control. Okay, and for the feet, in here I'm using the toe here roll and the knee in and out roll on both, because they're going to be going on the floor and stuff. But we are going also to use, maybe not actually, let's maybe keep it to that. Both are okay. By the way, there is no real, you should just do this. All right, so what I do in there is, let's see which are going to be my main key poses. So in something like this, I feel like this is really almost like a bouncing ball, you know, where you have here your squash, your stretch, your up, your squash, your stretch, your squash, your stretch, your up, your stretch, your squash, your stretch, your up, etc. So I'm going to try to work first on the squash, because those are also the moment where my feet is on the floor in there. So I want to make the squash here, and then this one we'll do after, because right now we're almost there. So let's keep to that first squash right in there. As you can see, my references and my it stops here for 1 frame. You can see here it kind of, I go from 1 frame to the other here, as you can see down there. But right now it doesn't move the reference because the conversion was creating those things. So that's what I'm saying, is sometimes when you do those conversion with reference importer or these things, it can create these kind of issues. So here I would actually think that the down is not necessarily at 16 but more at 17. Okay, so I would put a key on everything at 17. Okay, and what I do is this, is I grab the feet, okay, both feet, the body, and I grab the TZ and I move it forward. This thing is a little down, so okay, wait, let's keep it up. I move it forward, and this thing is a little down, so I'm going to move it down so that we arrive to about the same, okay? Then this feet here should be going a tiny bit forward to there. So here, I'm going to put myself in Word just because I like to only move the TZ, you know, and not move the TX of my curve. So when I click on there, I know that it's only the TZ, but by being in World, I also know that this is only going to be the TZ axis and not the X axis. So here I'm going to put it to the ground, and these will go back to 0. Okay. Putting it somewhere in the middle there, and same with this in terms of that would be somewhere here. Perfect. All right, for the other feet, same thing. Up, I know that the toe heel roll in there you can see is on the opposite way, so we're going to go like this way. I'm going to go back in here. Here we're in a passing position. So if I'm in a passing position, my body in rotate Y comes back to 0. In the Colosso class about the walk, I go over this, what does the rotate Y of the body does. And in a passing, it's like this. On the contact, or in this, which is almost like a contact in where your feet are more spread, is when you open up. But when they're together is when you're actually going back to 0. So here my rotate Y should go back to 0. My rotate Z as well, I think, should go flatter. And so that means that the top as well, you know, that was countering should go back almost to 0 as well. And you can see here there is almost no more flexion in that spine in the reference. Same with those shoulders. I'm going to bring them back to 0 in here. My arm is turning, going back. I'm looking at the angle of this, so it's somewhat like that. The elbow is bent like somewhere here. Angle, 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 angle. I'm just looking not at the shape but at the angle. And from this view I can see that it's a little bit more back. I don't like to see the manipulator in this view, so I'm getting rid of it. And I think in there definitely the shoulder is more down, somewhere around here. I can see that the chest is still turned a little bit more towards us, so I'm going to do that in here. For the other arm, I think it's coming back, so I would just having it come back somewhere around there. We don't see it in the ref, so I'm going to push it more forward so we don't see it in here too. And then in terms of the neck, I would just make it go back to straight, and same with the head, making it go back to straight. Tack. In terms of the arm and where we are, I think you see they were going up and they were kind of open, so I think this is actually open more out like that because it was really up. So I'm also thinking of where was it coming from and what does it do, and I'm going to do the same on that one that I think was as well coming back. So maybe it's not fully down yet. In terms of that foot, I haven't done it, so the in and out roll would be actually more this way in general. When you are in the passing, I feel like it's more out like this, and it would go up. I feel it's a little bit higher as well in here, and this one is not as much in the reference. I see something more like this. I'm really looking at angle, 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 tack, 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 etc., etc. And I think the body in terms of the rotation, the general rotation, is a little bit more like this. Again, I haven't touched at all in anything in there or in the hips, just the body and the counter rotation of the Y up there. All right, let's go. Let's keep going. So I select all again, and we're going to go to there. Yeah, at 32. So I'm going to put a key on everything. The one thing that I want to check here is my body TZ. You know, the amount of movement here to me should carry on. There is no real stop or anything. So here I'm putting it in linear just to check on, you know, the curve and try to make it go at the same speed throughout. So it would arrive somewhere there, which actually feels not bad compared to the ref, I think, from what we were doing. Maybe a tiny bit far, but somewhere around there would be okay. Voilà, perfect.